Delight yourself in God. God will give you all your heart desires. We all know the Jerusalem wall. So many people go and visit Jerusalem wall and pray. Many believe whatever they pray on that wall will come to true. That will happen. When we looked at the history of Jerusalem, it was built and destroyed multiple times. There was a first temple and second temple. And still, only leftover is the wall. And somebody called that's a wailing wall. People go there, they pray, they think whatever they wish, it will happen in their life. So that's the Jerusalem wall. So this temple, Jerusalem temple, when we look at Abraham, when he got his son at the age of 100, God told him, God wanted to test Abraham's faith. God told Abraham, Abraham, go and sacrifice your son to a place called Moriah. So this is the place the Jerusalem temple was built. When David he conquered Jerusalem, he wanted to build a temple for God. He bought this land from another person to build a temple for God. So that is the place the temple was built, and still the wall where people go and pray. Yeah. So God knows our heart desire. Delight yourself in God. Whatever happens, how big are problems in this world, how small it is, how bad it would be, how good it would be. But God is saying to us today, delight yourself in God. He will give your heart desires. God knows all our heart desires. There was a testimony about a young man. He was not believing in God. Even he made joke about people who talk about God and believe in God. His life went smooth. He was very happy. He felt he was living a successful life. He could able to reach all his goals. He became a good sportsman, good basketball player. He got scholarships to continue his studies. At the same time, he also got into the worldly habits, the worldly addictions, until the point he felt his life was not successful. All that he thought he was doing good, but at some point he realized things are not going good. He got addicted into unnecessary habits, the drugs, alcohol, and every sort of addiction. He could not come out. Without the drugs, he could not live. So when people are addicted to drugs, sometimes their brain stops working, so they do not know what to do. So the same way this young man did not know what to do. He did not want to live his life on earth. He felt he was failing in his life. He did not know how to end his life. He was sitting somewhere in a public place thinking what he can do. He can do something to finish his life, or what would be. So somebody sitting on the other side two women, they were talking about fasting and praying. So this was heard into this young man. He was fascinated. What is fasting? See, he approached the two women and he asked, "What does mean fasting?" Then they started explaining. When you want to pray God, when you feel overcome certain challenges, you fast and pray God. God will hear your prayers. He wanted to try out. What he did, he went to his house back. He told God, I want to fast. I want my life to change because I'm thinking to end my life. I'm going to fast. He did not have any water or food for the next 24 hours. At the same time, he also did not take any drugs or alcohol. But nothing changed, nothing happened. So he heard when he fast and pray, God will help, God will hear the prayer and change the life. Nothing changed except during the time he did not take any drugs. So life went on. He forgot about this fasting and praying. Again, he came to a point there is no God. He did not believe in God. Life was going on and on. And one day, one of his friend he met 5 years back, he called him. He was a close friend. He called him and he wanted to come and spend time with him. So he came. They were talking about their old memories and everything. Suddenly, the friend told him, "Man, I want to tell one thing. I was forced to tell about God. God, God told me to come here. God sent me here to talk about God." So now this young man realized, is there a God? Because I was looking for God, but nothing happened. Then he shared about God. Then he came to the knowledge of God. Slowly he started attending church, where he started seeing difference in people's lives. He was thinking, when I pray, God will pour out something from heaven. He will come like a fire. He will do something like supernatural. But as he started going to a church, started experiencing God in his life, slowly all his bad habits, bad addictions were gone, and he started feeling to live instead of dying. He got a hope that he has a God who cares for him. He wanted to live and enjoy his life on this earth. God knows all our heart desires. When Abraham was living, people noticed whatever he did, it was prospered. Whichever the land he went, wherever he dug well, God gave water. Wherever he sowed seeds, it grew multiple times. He could harvest, he could reap multiple times. He was living among a people who are mightier than Abraham. They could easily suppress Abraham, but still God was with him. Whatever he did, God prospered. The neighboring king noticed this one and he came to Abraham. Abraham, I don't know, whatever you do, it prospers. I'm afraid after my time, you would do any harm to my people. I want to make a covenant with you. Give me assurance you would not make any harm to my people, my generations after my time. God will prosper whatever you do. That's what God is saying it. God will give all your heart desires, like Abraham, whatever he did. Later point in time, his son Isaac, he was living in the same land. following his father's path. Now he is experiencing difficulties. A great famine and drought hit into his land. Nothing is growing anymore. No water to drink. It's getting drought and famine. So he was looking into it. What shall I do? This situation never occurred before. It is a worse. What shall I do? God knows all our heart desires. So he was thinking, maybe I can go to Egypt to protect my family, to protect my belongings, to protect all who are depending on me instead of dying in the famine and drought. He was he was thinking what to do. God knows all our heart desires. God spoke to Abraham. God spoke to Isaac. Isaac, I know what you are thinking. You are thinking you are going to die in the famine. You are going to die in the drought. Trust me, I am God. Go back to the place where I show you. Stay there. You sow your seed there. I will multiply. The same way how God did with his father. Now he is telling Isaac, you go and sow. Whoever looks at it, they think it's not possible, but I will make you prosper. The same way he went and he sowed a seed during the drought and famine. And for his surprise, not one time or two time, 100 folds, he could able to reap the harvest. God knows all our heart desires. That's what God is saying. Delight yourself in God. A great God is with us. Whatever you do will prosper. Whatever God allows in your life, nobody can stop it. It could be a famine, it could be a drought, it could be a no future, it could be nothing to do. When God is with you, He will fulfill all your heart desires. Whatever you do, it will happen in your life. When God looks into your heart, as God says, He will give all your heart desires. You don't have to worry. You don't have to panic. At times, we start panic. What will happen? We start lose our hope when looking at circumstances, when looking at situations before us. But when God looks into your heart, whatever you do, it will prosper. But all that we need to do, we need to understand the heart of God. It is true, God will prosper whatever you do. He looks into your heart. At the same time, we need to know, is it the will of God in our life? I'm a child of God, and whatever I do, God will bless. We need to know, is it a will of my God? Is it my God's heart desire to do these things? David wanted to build a temple for God. He felt he was not worthy. God honored him. God lifted him as a king over the entire Israel. There were so many enemies trying to oppress David. There were a lot of challenges for him. He can think to run away and escape his life. But God was always with David. Whatever he did, God prospered. Whichever the battle he went, God gave him victory. Now, David's heart is concerning for God. He wanted to build a temple for God. So he built a palace for him, and he was asking himself, I'm living in a great palace built with cedar woods. But my God's tabernacle is in a tent here and there. There is no a good place for my God to live. I want to build a temple. God will prosper us all our heart desires. We need to know, is it the will of God in our life to do certain things? We should not take everything like, yeah, God will always be with me. And whatever I do, God will bless it. God will allow it. God will make it happen. God will do it. But at times, we need to know the heart of God, what God wants us to do. We should not take God as an advantage and try to do everything on our own. So David was trying to build a temple. Now God spoke to David. David, it's good you wanted to build a temple for me. Did I ask you? Did I ask you to build a temple for me? I made all the kingdoms, all the kings on earth. Did I ask any king to build a temple for me? I was always living in the tents wherever people are there. I never expected anyone to build the temple for me. I don't want you to build a temple. God said, I understand your heart. You love me. I love you. But I don't want you to build a temple for me. I have chosen one of your descendants to build a temple for me. He will build a temple for me when he walks according to my commandments and according to my laws. So he is the one who is going to build, not you. So that's how we need to understand in our life. Many times we think, yeah, God is with me, and when I pray, God will fulfill whatever I want to do. God will help me. There is no doubt. God is always with you. God always willing to help you. Sometimes we need to understand the desire of God's heart. What my God wants me to do. Is it the right thing? What God wants me to do? When you understand God's heart and His desire, whatever you do, it will prosper. No one can stand against it. It is a narrow wall when God wants you to do something in your life. The gates are wide open, but still you cannot enter. There would be multiple hazards, multiple obstacles, but no one could stop you making progress in it. No one could put a barrier in the path which God opens in your life when you understand God's desire. So we need to ask God, God, is it your desire in my life? And it is my heart desire, Lord. As your word says, God will give all your heart desires. But when we ask back, God, is it your desire? When we understand, when we obey God's time, when we obey God's ways in our life, then whatever you do, it will prosper. Nobody could stand, nobody could stop what God wants to do in your life. When God's hand is on you, nobody can stop you. You will prosper, you will multiply. Wherever you start doing something in your life, when your desire and God's heart desire is same, nobody can stop you from making any progress. Nobody can stop you doing certain things on your heart. People would think, why he is doing crazy, but God, God's heart and your heart desires are aligned. So things will change. God will make greater things in your life, and there would be obstacles and challenges, but nothing could harm you, nothing could stop you making your heart desires. All that we need to understand, Lord, this is my heart desire. Is it your heart desire in my life, Lord? So when we ask God and his answer is yes, then you will see nothing will stop you. There would be no obstacles on your way. Obstacles would come, but it cannot halt you. So there will be people against you, but nobody can do any harm against you. So that's the assurance when we know God heart desire is our heart desire. When Solomon started building the temple which his father bought for God, and now with his wisdom, what God has given, he built a temple in such a wonderful way, like how the Garden of Eden. So how it looked like in the same way he built the walls and the faces he constructed as per God told his father how he wanted to build the temple for the tabernacle. He constructed in a marvelous way the world could admire. Now Solomon's heart desire, Lord, with all the wisdom you have given me, I built a great palace for me, and also I built a temple for you. Now my heart desire, would you please come and dwell in this place, Lord? Whoever come and ask anything in this place, Lord, let them receive it. Let your presence be dwell here, Lord. And it is Solomon's heart desire. God honored it. God said, Solomon, this place, my presence would come and stay. Whatever people come and ask for it, I would give. I would bless them. I will hear all their prayers. When God is with us, nobody can stop it. So that's why even today the wall is only a leftover wall, but people all around the world going there and praying. Something is different here. Whatever I want to pray, whatever I wish in my life, it comes to true. They do not know, but God honored Solomon's heart desires. So that's why we need to know God is saying to us, delight yourself in God. When God is with you, whatever you do, it will prosper, not one time or two times, it is 100 folds. Nobody could imagine how God can bless you. But is it God's heart desire? When you understand, when is God's desire to fulfill your heart desire, nobody could stop it. You would experience the prosperity. Even everyone around you can jealous, but no one can do any harm because God's hand is on your life. So delight yourself in God. God will give all your heart desires.